Woohoo!
I'm back. I didn't know. I didn't know. I hoped. I had never heard about it. I didn't know anything about it. No. Thank you very much for inviting me to share my story. And as you know, many of us wonder about heaven. Is God real? Is heaven real? Uh, we don't know. But when someone does die, because we're all going to die, but some come back, and they're called near-death experiencers. I'm one of those. There are more of those in the world than you realize, but people are afraid to talk about it because people think you're crazy. And that's why I kept quiet about it for a very long time. People are better about it now because it's more open and discussed. But I'd like to tell you about my near-death experience. Well, actually, I was blessed doubly. I've had two. But I'd like to tell you about my first one. It was vivid and it was colorful. It was in 1978, and I was 32 years old. I was a mother with three young children, and I had a tumor the size of a walnut in my uterus. And I had several bad biopsies, so it was a bad thing. And then in 3 weeks' time, that tumor grew to be the size of a melon. And that was very bad. So my doctor, Dr. O'Keefe, did the surgery, did a hysterectomy. Well, I woke up from surgery and I felt so good. The fear of cancer was over. It was exciting. And the nurse said, well, would you like to get up and walk around? Well, I had been in bed. Yes, I want to get up and walk around. Well, walking isn't quite what I did because my whole abdomen, the entire abdomen is opened up for surgery. But I walked down the hall and a nurse grabbed me by the shoulders and pulled me back. Oh, the pain was terrible. I somehow got back to my bed. I crawled into my bed and I'm into blissful sleep. Now, that was in the afternoon, I think around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, if I remember right. Well, later that evening, it was dark and I woke up and I was cold and I felt wet. And I thought, oh dear, what's going on here? There was no lights on. My roommate had the lights off in the room. I could see her TV flickering, so I knew she was awake. So I said, would you please call the nurse? I think I've wet myself. I feel wet. I thought, oh, this is embarrassing. I've wet the bed. Well, when she turned on the lights, all I remember are her screens and my screens. All I saw was the color red. My blankets were saturated with blood. I was bleeding out. I was dying right there. Well, shortly thereafter, with no effort of my own, I raised up above my body, right out of the bed, straight up, and I kind of turned a little bit. I looked down, I saw Dr. Jim down there, and the nurses all working over me. And this is really kind of interesting. I'm floating up in the top of the room. This is interesting, right? And then somehow I saw an aperture in the ceiling, and I saw sky. And again, through no effort of my own, my body just went up through that aperture. And there I was, up above. There's the hospital. There's the Hudson River. There's Glen. There's my house over here. It was really fun. I was flying like an airplane. I was up at this level. And then all of a sudden, I was higher up into the clouds. And then I started to move faster and faster and faster through stars. Now, when people have NDEs, you'll often hear they saw a white tunnel, they saw a black tunnel, they saw a void. I didn't see any of those things, Sarah. I saw stars, and I was flying through stars. I do not know how long I was up there. I do not know how far I went. But I remember at a distance staying on the horizon in light. And as I started to slow down, I got closer and I could see a city down below, and it glistened. The spires just glistened like diamonds. It was just beautiful, like ice. It was beautiful. And as I got closer, there was a big wall. I noticed that there was a big wall going around this area, and there was an opening, and there was somebody down there. Now, when we die, we always wonder, who are we going to see in heaven? Well, I thought my friend Mark, my brother Billy, maybe my mom and dad. Nope, none of those. It was my grandfather, Jim Dool. So that was a treat for me. He had died unexpectedly when I was like 11 or 12, and I never got to the hospital to see him before he died. And he had had one leg amputated, and they're going to amputate the other, and I never got to see him before he died. He died right away. And I miss thanking him for being such a nice grandfather. Well, there he was. It was my grandfather in human form, or a form I could understand. Looked like my grandfather, just a little bit younger in age, and he had both legs. He was whole. So if you lose body parts in life, in heaven, you're whole again. You're well again. So it was just so nice to see him. And we talked a little bit, and then he walked me through this opening in this wall, and we went into a garden. Now, our languages, none of them have words that will adequately describe how beautiful heaven is and how beautiful the things that are in it. The colors of the flowers, the fragrances of the flowers, they all mingle beautifully. The leaves of the trees seem to glisten. Everything is just so intense and so beautiful. Well, then we walked into another garden, and it was water fountains, and I could hear the tinkling sound of the water fountains. I could hear birds. I could hear music. I didn't hear people talking, but that's my grandfather was talking to me. And he said, okay, I want to touch everything. And Sandy, we have to go. We have to go. Well, I didn't want to go. I wanted to stay there because it was just beautiful. Took me to another garden and then into another courtyard. And there was a big building with the doorway open. And we walked up to the doorway. And this is where he said to me, no, Sandy, I have to leave you now. You have to go in here alone. I cannot go in with you. Well, no. I didn't want to go in there. I could see that it was a place I did not know. It was very bright. I was very, very afraid. And he said, I can't go with you, Sandy. You have to go alone. Well, before I go any further, I want to step back and rewind a minute and tell you about something else that makes this encounter really make sense. I said I had died before. And years before, when I was a little girl, about age 7, in 1953, there was a polio epidemic. Polio is an illness that's going around the world now that kills and paralyzes children. And that year, 18,000 people died from it. Well, I was not feeling well. My parents took me to the hospital. I was in the emergency room. They were whisking me down the hall. A doctor got on my throat and opened my throat with a tracheotomy. I could not breathe. My muscles were just paralyzed. Nothing was working on that. And they did the tracheotomy to get oxygen into me. They rushed me up to isolation. They put me in an iron lung. Now, what is an iron lung? An iron lung looks like a big submarine, doesn't it? You have portholes and all of those things. And what it does is you lay in there, because I was paralyzed, I couldn't move. The machine fits air pressure, so it pushes your chest down. So you actually, because your head is sticking out, all you see is your head sticking out of this machine. And that it releases it, so your chest comes up. It is air pressure. Well, on Monday, that's when I went in the iron lung. On Wednesday, there were 10 children from my county, from Les Falls, New York, that were in the hospital with polio. 10 of us. On Friday, only one child was alive, me. And Dr. Friedman, my doctor, called my mother and said, Mrs. Jewell, you need to come to the hospital. We're losing Sandra. We're losing her. So my mother went up to the hospital, and they sat with me, and my mother and Dr. Friedman and nurse watched me die. I went from pink to ash, and they turned out the iron lung because I was gone. And my mother didn't tell me about this until just before she died in 2006. She told me how strange it was to watch your child die and to sit in the room. And it was a strange silence because they'd heard that machine working for, 5 days, 6 days. And she said all of a sudden she heard clunk, clunk, a noise coming from the iron lung. Well, what's coming? My mother got up and she peered down into one of those holes and she saw me kicking the iron lung. I was back, and I was mad. She was kicking the iron lung. Well, naturally, they came right back in and they turned the machine back on again. So, miraculously, after many months of physical therapy and speech therapy, I did learn to walk and talk all over and went back to school. But I always felt guilty about being the only child that survived. Why didn't the other 9 kids live? Why did Sandy Duell live and not the other people? Okay, well, let's go back to the story. Now that story is there. Let's go back to heaven. And remember, I told you that Grandpa had walked away, and I was standing in a doorway. And as I peered in, again, very, very afraid, very bright light. The whole room was full of energy and light. And I remember trembling and walking into it. And then I heard a voice. Sandra, come here. No. I didn't want to move. I was terrified. And this light was very bright, and it was in the center of the room. And a beautiful ornate table was there. And I looked up again, and he said, come here, Sandra. Don't be afraid. Well, then when he said that, I wasn't so afraid. So I walked up, and I think what God did is he made himself an image that was not frightening to me. I don't think we humans can truly, truly know what God must look like. The man who created the earth, the man who created light, the man who created the universe, the entity that does all of these things, our little brains cannot fathom who he really is. So he makes himself an image that we can understand and not be afraid of. And that's exactly how I felt. I felt that he was my father. He was talking to me. He was asking me a question. Sandra, I'd given you life before. What of value have you done with that life? Remember, I said I'd always been guilty about living, but I thought I was a good mother. I thought I was a good wife. I was a Sunday school teacher. I all tried to be good to my family. But did I do anything special? I don't think so. I really didn't think so. So I said, I knew he was looking at me, every cell in my body, so he knew exactly what I felt. He knew exactly what I had done. I felt safe. I felt his compassion. And I said, I really would like to go back. I had twins, Eric and Katrina, around 11, and Bobby around 7. And I really felt that they would be better off with me in their life and not just a father. So I say, if you will let me go back, I promise I will make a difference in someone's life. I will make a difference. Well, just poof, I was back into my body in the hospital. Oh, I hurt. I did not feel well. I had had multiple transfusions in time, but I did get well. Now, I was very surprised to have gone to heaven. I think, as our different faiths were told, that I was raised by a Baptist Sunday school that God is heaven and you have to be good, and Methodist and Protestant, and there's the 10 Commandments, but you can be forgiven. Well, I knew Jesus as my Savior. I knew the 10 Commandments, but I never, ever expected God would forgive me. And I'd like to tell you why, because it's important. It's something that's taken me 30 years to have the courage to talk about. That's very important. Yeah. 2 years before this surgery, this NDE, I had committed a sin that I thought was truly unforgivable. It was 1977, and I had fallen in love with a man named Carl. He made me happy. Everything about him, I just felt so good about myself. I divorced my first husband because we would not have a happy marriage. I was looking forward to my life with Carl. He was Mr. Charm, all the things a woman likes to hear. He made me feel wanted. He made me feel beautiful. And my husband had told me I wasn't any of those things. We did fun, spontaneous things, and I was sublimely happy. And I was looking forward to February. We were supposed to be getting married in February. This is Christmas Eve, and that's a big holiday for us. So he was going to come down and spend that night with my children and I. So I was especially happy because I had something very special to tell him. I was pregnant with his baby, and he didn't know it yet. Well, he came in all jolly and happy, and he gave that. And I was also looking at the engagement ring I was expecting at Christmas. And he came in all jolly and happy, and he went to the living room with the kids and gave them the presents and gave me a present. And it was okay. And then he said, there was no ring. Made me a little bit nervous, and the gift was kind of strange, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. But he goes, let's go into the dining room. There's something I need to talk to you about. Something I want to tell you. There's something I want to tell you, too. I was excited about telling him this. I thought he would really, really be happy. So Carl sits there very serious, and he goes, I think I like you. You think you like me? He goes, I think I love you. You think you love me? I don't think I can raise teenagers again, Sandra. I don't think we should be together anymore. What? No more? Over? Done? Yes. He got up and he walked out the door. Well, only imagine how I felt. Devastated. Well, I got myself together, and I still had the two children in the living room with their Christmas gifts. I did not want to spoil their holiday. And I went out of their gifts and off to bed they went. And I went to my room, and I cried buckets of tears into a washcloth in my pillow. I was never felt so low in my whole life. I was disgusted with myself. I felt lost. I felt dirty. I felt stupid. Every single bad word you could think about yourself, I was feeling that. He made me feel, stupid, Sandra. All right. And I was just so absolutely overwhelmed that night I decided to end my life. And I felt kind of weak. I took enough pills to kill me. I had every intention of dying. I wanted to die. That's how bad I felt. I was worthless. I was garbage. Well, I woke up the next morning. I was still alive. Oh, dear. I'm still alive. But I was very, very sick. And that morning, Christmas morning, I miscarried that baby. Well, I never told anybody about that because it was a shameful secret, the suicide and the death of that baby. And I kept it in my heart as a hard, sore place for many, many years. Well, I thought I was finished with Carl after a couple of years, right? At that point. Well, no, Carl turned out to be a stalker. So after 4 years later, I've got my life together, trying to get my life together. I'm walking down the street in the evening when he has no business being in that area of town at that time of night. A car pulls up next to me, and out he comes. And I thought, what on earth is he doing? He goes, see me, I love you so much. I miss you. I need you. I love you. What are you talking about? Get away from me. And finally I said, okay, myself, I've had enough of this. This is ridiculous. You are ridiculous. He said, remember that Christmas when I said I had something special to tell you? That was, I was pregnant with your child. I was pregnant, but you didn't want me. Oh, well, what did you tell me? You didn't want me, Carla. You threw me away. I almost died, and that baby did. And you're not worth it. Get out of my life. Get away from me. I don't ever see you again. I was so angry, like, turned around. He was in shop. I didn't care. And I went on to the store, and I came back. He was gone, and I never saw him again. So that's important. Very important to know. Well, more than I need you, but fortunately not somebody else. But I'm strong because of it. And as you look back, Sarah, it's all a part of going out. Because I talked about the NDEs to church groups, just the NDE, nothing about anything else. Well, in my process of trying to get well, I started getting psychological help because fortunately, I could afford psychiatric help, and I needed it because I had no self-esteem. And I went to church and church group I like retreats. In America, we have retreats, and you go away, and there's usually a topic of discussion. And it can be any one of anything. Well, this happened to be an unusual retreat. It was 20 people of my own church, whom I was very close to, going up into the mountains. Normally, I drive my car. My friend that's important. Normally, I drive my car because I have to be in control. And a personality, nope. Barbara drove the car. The kids got sent off to spend the weekend with their dad. And we were driving up the mountains, and the clouds were hanging right on the top of the mountains. And we pulled into the lodge. Here's this beautiful lodge in the Adirondack Mountains. It was beautiful, and it was raining. And the sound of the rain on the roof, it was wonderful. So we had our socialization. We had our dinner. Then we went into the study room. Well, the facilitator handed out the tablets and the pens and the questions that we were to think about before discussion. Oh, and by the way, he goes, this is a silent retreat. I've never been to a silent retreat. There'll be no talking between friends, husbands. Not one word is to be said until tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. That's okay with me. I'm used to being alone. Children were with their father frequently, and I kind of liked retreat because I could get into who I am. I'm getting, learn who is Sandra. I had to build up who I was. I had no idea who I was. I was so trashed. I did not know who I was. And this one was especially interesting. Well, okay, fine. Well, the others were all going out into the outside because they had rain gear. Well, I forgot my rain gear because I was busy with the kids. But no problem. There's a big fireplace going over there, beautiful fire, big comfortable chair. So I want to plop right down here. I sat down in that chair. And then I opened up the tablet and I looked at the list of questions. I do not know what happened, actually, or what triggered me to become so upset. I started to squeeze my hands. I started to wring my hands. I started to twitch in the chair. I felt like a volcano that was going to explode. What is the matter with me? I got up. I threw the tablet on the floor. The door was a big double door. I'm a personality, and when I get hurt or afraid, I run. I was going to run home. Not very logical, but in my mind, I was so upset. I went running out through those double doors. No coat. Walked right out into the trees, out into the rain, out into the forest. I was going to run home. 50 miles away? I don't think so. But that was how upset I was, Sarah. I was beyond whatever. And finally, on my peripheral, I saw all of my friends standing in the rain with their umbrellas and their rain gear, watching me. The looks of shock on their face. I thought, oh dear, this is so embarrassing. What on earth am I doing? Why am I here? Oh Lord, this is awful. And I remember kind of backing up against a tree, just a little bit. And I remember putting my head down. I was just so bereft. And I said, Dear God, why? Why am I here? What on earth do you want of me? What? Why am I here? What? And I feel warm. I stood a little bit taller and I opened my eyes. Whoops. Sarah, I was enveloped in a column of white light. One white light. It was like a big white fleecy blanket. It was heated up in the morning. I thought, I'm not getting rained on. They were getting rained on. I wasn't getting rained on at all. I remember thinking, And I looked up and it was just white all above me and around me. Dear God. And then I heard the sound, the words. This is exactly where we're supposed to be, Sandra. This is the beginning. This is where you are supposed to be. Oh my gosh. Talk about validation that you're in the right place and doing the right thing. And 20 witnesses saw this, right? Well, I went back into my room. I didn't get rained on for getting back in. And I went to bed. It was the best night's rest I'd had, I think, in a long time. Well, the next morning at 8 o'clock, when the silence is over, you can imagine the questions that I was barraged with. What happened? What happened? What happened? Did I dream that? I must have dreamt it because I've never heard of someone being wrapped in white light, and I'm just me. And I can't. It must have been a dream. It couldn't have been real, right? Well, so I said to them, what did you see? Well, Clayton, our pastor, goes, Sandy, you were in a column of white light. You were completely enveloped in a white light. And I said, did you hear anything? No. I asked his wife, did you hear anything? Sound? Ruth? No. Well, we all saw the light. Oh my. Well, actually, this is what not told me what God had told me. Well, Clayton doesn't usually share his pulpit at church, but he said, would you please speak tomorrow morning, Easter Sunday, at our church and tell them about what happened here? Because this is very, very special. So I went on. Okay, I have to study more. I have to learn more. But as I started to deal with things, I started to get more depressed because I was dealing with a lot of things that were in my life to paint them. And all of this caused me to become very depressed because it was insurmountable to me. I didn't realize I had other people I could lean on, like God and angels, but I just tried to lean on myself. And I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. Well, that in a person is very hard on the family. Yeah, I'm a very visual person, Sarah, and I have to give things a name so that, this thing, I feel like this thing is on my back, and I cannot reach it, and I cannot grab it, but I want to take it and throw it away. It's just on my back. I can't get rid of it. I gave him the name the Purple Dragon. I like purple, and dragon is appropriate because that's how I felt, that this dragon was just eating me from the inside out. I had to get that purple dragon off my back. And I had to learn that I can't do it. I went to 2 psychiatrists who started. But finally, I had the good fortune to meet a Dr. Charles Menzit. And he's strong, he's a strong personality to work with because I am a strong person. I have to be, I think, to survive what I survived. And he started to teach me how to write my feelings and to deal with everything in my life, just not the outside coding. He made me dig deeper and deeper and deeper. And for the first time, I realized that life is worth living. And I was going to reduce my pain. And it was the first time I saw that my past had the power to undo me because I allowed it to. And I finally realized I can't let this happen anymore. So I let go of the past. I focused on the present. The doctor actually realized it was a chemical imbalance that's causing some of these problems, and their simple medication took care of that. So now I'm very relaxed almost all of the time. So my purpose got better. Okay, this is what I thought I was supposed to do. I promised God I'd make a difference. And then at that retreat, again, I promised to make a difference. Well, I joined High Peaks Hospice, and I had the privilege of working with some wonderful patients and help them pass, and that was good. And then I worked at Wenceslaus Hospital in the psychodrama as a psychodrama therapist. I enjoyed doing that, but that wasn't quite enough. Then I worked at Saratoga Hospital and created a daycare program for depressed women, and that was successful, but that still didn't feel right. And talking to little groups, I still was searching for something I never felt right to see. Well, on May 22nd, the alleys in Florida have flowers growing all over. On May 22nd, the lights came on, bells rang, and hit me in the head with a rock. Now I know. I suffered a fall, and I'm almost 6 feet tall. I'm a very tall Viking lady, right? And I fell backwards like a tree. Wonk. On the way down, my head hit a heavy glass door and onto the floor. I broke 2 vertebrae in my back, 2 in my neck, and I broke both wrists and had a concussion. Needless to say, I was absolutely helpless. My husband was wonderful and took care of me, got me off the floor, got into the hospital. And I sat there at home recovering. My bedroom overlooks a pond, and I'm looking at the docks. And why did God want us? People often die from this fall. It's so fatal. My family doctors and Sandy, you were lucky. Am I lucky? Yeah. Obviously, God isn't done with me yet. I still don't know. I'm not getting it right. So I sat there with my arms like this in casts, right? Looking out the window, and I go, remember to go to God. Remember to give it to God. You can't do it. Remember to give it to God. Or give it to little guys, or give it away. So I remember crying, dear God, what do you want me to do? I want to be your servant. I want to be your messenger, but I don't know what. I still know I'm not doing it. Please help me do it. As clear as day, I got these words. You're going to get up. You're going to get well. And you're going to tell your story. All of it. The good and the bad. No. I didn't want to do that. Yes. I need you to tell the whole story. The whole story. The good and the bad. Well, and he specifically said, Christmas Eve and the suicide, the mental health struggles that people don't want to admit that they've had them. I've had them. Thank God that I have recovered from them in my life as well. Remind people that he forgives us, and he did for me for sure, and he'll forgive you too. He does promise everlasting life. He certainly saw that, but to remind people that I saw that. And I still felt ashamed, but he said, no. Well, I thought the excuse is, well, I'd had a stroke just a few years before this, and 4 years prior. And I had problems forming words. Sometimes I'll say a word that's similar but not quite right. And I thought, well, here's my excuse. I can't go talk publicly because my words will be wrong. No, Cindy, that's not going to work. So I said, no. So I said, I need to be brave, and I need to start to tell the story. I need to get well first. On December 10th of 1923, still, that made months after I still had a neck brace. And my neck was so sore. And I was sitting in an office, a radiology office, waiting for an MRI of my neck. And next there was another lady in the same amount of pain as I was in a neck brace. So I go to her, just like, when we go to heaven, we won't hurt. And she goes, do you believe in heaven? I go, absolutely. No, you and start to talk about heaven and life after life. I'm not going to hurt anymore. And she goes, do you know Deb Davis? No, who's Deb Davis? Well, Deb Davis, this was science. What science was the Space Post group that talks about NDEs? No, I didn't know there was such a group. I would love to meet them. So I met Deb, and I met the group. I felt him coming home to relatives because we all are sharing the same experiences, and you can't talk about them openly in all places, but you can among each other. So I thought, oh my gosh. She asked me to do my first presentation. I was nervous. I thought, no, you can't be nervous. You've got to do this. You've got to get up in front of the group of people and tell your story. Well, I did. And as I started to go along, and all of a sudden I got another message. And then I just stopped my outline. My daughter thought, what's Mom talking about? So I had at that time I had pictures, videos with my talk. And I said, God wants me to tell you how I healed my broken heart. And I had developed an exercise myself to take care of my pain in my life. We all have heartbreak, and it's real. And it's an unbearable pain, isn't it? It's terrible. When we go through so much heartache, this is how I got over it. No one told me how to do it. There was no book about it. It's self-healing, and it's what I did. And what I do now is I share it with others, and it is helping other people. I'm getting the messages that I do. I do answer all of my emails that I get, and I do answer comments on the channels. Well, would you like to know how to heal a broken heart, Sarah? Would you like to know? This is what we show is a broken heart. Now picture your heart as having all those little doors, little boxes with little, in America we call them Advent calendars, but they're little boxes that hold candy, and you open up the little door. Picture your heart, and in each of those boxes is a pain or something that's hurt you. Well, start with the little one first. Don't go with the big one. Start with the little hurt first. And open that door. Take it out. Look at it. Now, maybe Aunt Margaret was mean to me once as a kid, or some little thing that was a hurt. Maybe someone bullied me a little bit. Take it out. Deal with it. But throw it away. In its place, well, maybe Aunt Margaret wasn't so bad after all. Or maybe that bully became my friend later. Put something back in that's good. Reach in and bring in the sunlight. Put a little bit of love in you and close the door. When you're ready for the next one, go to the next one. And as you go along this process, one at a time, you start dealing with your bigger pains. It's not so frightening, and you're able to deal with it. Before you know it, you're sitting up straighter, you're standing taller, and your heart isn't hurting, and you're healing your own heart. Do not be ashamed of what's in your heart. Don't judge it. Don't suppress it. Don't rush it. Just fill it with light and love and goodness. And this is where your healing begins. Be kind to yourself. How many times we beat ourselves up? One step at a time. You all deserve to be happy. You all deserve to live your lives, a life here on earth, however long it is, short or long. Enjoy it. Enjoy every minute. Enjoy the sunset. Enjoy every little thing. The simplest thing. The simplest thing. It's wonderful. And when your time comes, do not be afraid. It does not hurt to die. And when you go, it's going to be an adventure. And I can tell you firsthand, it was amazing. And you will not be alone there. And you will be greeted. And you will have everlasting life. And I hope that my story, all of it, the good and the bad, comes together to be a helpful compilation for you, Sarah, and for your listeners. I don't know. I didn't see hell. I only saw heaven. I've listened to other NDEs. I've read other stories, and people talk about that. I can only talk about what I personally saw. I saw a very small part of heaven. I did not see hell. I did not see angels. I did not see things that other people did see. All I can tell you is what I saw in heaven. Is there hell? I would think there should be for people who don't believe in God and who are cruel to others. But I don't know. I don't know. I haven't written any books. No, I'm not going to write a book. I have been asked to write a book, and I thought, why would I write a book? As of Tuesday, Sarah, I had 197,381 views of my story. I've had over 8,372 likes, and over 1,792 messages. I could not begin to reach the world the way I am by being what I'm doing now, by talking to people like you who are interested in NDEs and who want to share it with the world. People need to know that there is something more to life than life. Sometimes life is very difficult and very sad and very painful, but it isn't forever. Some of us have a good life, some of us don't. It is not forever, and I need to know that. I was 7 the first time when I had polio, and then I was 32 when I had the massive hemorrhage. It's taken me all these years to be brave enough to talk about it. I never talked about it. My children and my family did not know about the suicide or the baby's death until the day before that video went live the first time in February that year. I had never told anyone. And afterward, I was real worried about my children and how they would respond to it. And Eric and Karen and Val, you were amazing. They go, Mom, we never liked him anyway. But Mom, we knew something was wrong. You were so unhappy that we didn't understand what it was. But they did not know, and they did not condemn me for it. And God doesn't condemn me for it. And I'm no longer, He forgave me long before I forgave myself. And now I'm very much at peace with what I've done. I'm very much at peace that today is today. Tomorrow I might not be here. I know that. Life is precious. You never know. As I say to people, if you have something in your life that you love, tell them. Don't wait until their birthday or don't wait until Christmas. If you see someone you like them, tell them you like them. If you miss someone, call them, write them, tell you you love them. Life is too short not to do that. Well, the services I provide is when people actually do send me emails to sandra.roseinspires.com, sandra.rose.inspires@gmail.com. I have probably a folder this thick of those 1,800 comments that I received. I've answered every single one of them over the last year and a half. Sometimes it's 3 messages or 4 messages. Until then, they go on. I'm there as long as they need them. Other things that I do is I've been given the privilege of helping people pass. That means I had started doing that with hospice. Today, I've helped 7 people pass, go to heaven. And I came back from heaven with some different skills I didn't have before. I'm more intuitive. I sense things more. I also can sense that people need help. One of them was my sister-in-law's mother. I was at a meeting. I had been visiting with Caroline for a while. I knew that she was sick, but Diane said that Mom's doing better, so go ahead and go to your meeting upstate Vermont, and she'll be fine. Well, I was at the meeting, and normally our boss takes us out to dinner, and I said, I have this horrible feeling that Diane needs me. Well, inevitably, I got that phone call. Sandy, where are you? Mom has taken a turn for the worse. That's about 3.5 hours away. So we drove very quickly to get to her. I walk into the room. Now, this beautiful woman, Caroline, is a real trim lady, lovely lady. There was a hospice nurse shaking her head no. There's Diane. And there's my husband and my brother. And I could just sense something, even though she was in a coma or unconscious, so that something was wrong. I could sense that she was telling me, Cindy, I don't like this. I don't want the men here. I don't want the men here. So I said to my brother, Doug, and my husband, Bob, you need to step outside, fellas. And they did. And she immediately, her body language relaxed. So I said to Diane, I said, it's time to let her know that it's her pretty girl. Diane goes, I can't tell her. I said, well, Diane, many people, and you'll know this, many people will hold on because they don't want to leave us. And we need to tell them. Sometimes they need to hear the words, it's okay to go. So I crawled into the bed with this wonderful little lady, and she's in the crook of my arm. Her head is in the crook of my arm. And I put my arm around her, and I grabbed my sister-in-law from behind her, who was on the other side of her. So it became a circle. So Caroline was encircled with the love of my sister-in-law and myself. And so I said, because Diane couldn't, I said, Charles, her husband, and helped him pass also, has been waiting high dose for you a long time. And it's time to go, I would take care of Diane, and I would take care of Diane. Caroline, it's time to go. It's okay. She started to relax. I watched her pulse. I listened to her. I watched her breath. I said, it's okay to go. I held her. I touched her face. And I got the most beautiful smile, and her eyes opened up. And it was the most beautiful smile. The last brush, she was gone. That's a gift that when you're given the privilege of helping someone go from here to there to transition is a very special gift. And it should not be taken lightly. It's a very special time in their life. I've been blessed with 7 people to do this. I don't go to them. They come to me. God works at it. God does He does what He wants to do. I don't solicit that. But I am intuitive, yes. I feel things, yes. I came back. I was married to my husband in September, and later that fall, he was over at our hunting camp, getting ready for hunting season, and he was putting the firewood up because it's cold in the Adirondack Mountains, and he called out that he had lost his wedding ring, and he was so upset. Well, he went to work. I tried to sing so hard to work. I said, when did you have it on last? It was on this morning. I don't know. So finally, wait a minute. Let me think about this. I said, Mom, it's in the fire. What do you mean? I said, I see your ring. It's in the fire. Well, it can't be. The wood stove was hot. It was burning. Go back to the wood stove, Bob. The ring is in the fire. He went back the next day. Sarah, the ring is in the firebox of that stove, and it had not melted. I have a picture of it. I tell you, that will be a blessing. Look at, isn't that amazing? So, little things like that are kind of fun. My daughter called and said, Mom, I can't find my keys. She was all upset. I said, let me think about it a minute. I said, your keys are with your license, and your license is next to a grocery store receipt. Did you just get an order? Well, I just had an order from Walmart. I go look in your garbage. I put the bags in the trash. I go get the grocery bags. Your watch and your wallet, your money, and your driver's license is in that bag. And she went through the garbage, and sure enough, there it was. But it's kind of a fun thing. I don't do it a whole lot, but another time she was over at the ocean, and somehow she goes, Mom, I've lost the house keys. How can you lose the house keys, Katrina? Well, she was dry. I said, I was suddenly thinking, okay, dear God, where are the house keys? I said to God, call Katrina, tell her to come back. The keys are in the car. So she had all gotten him back. I said, look up. The keys were on the top of her car. They had not fallen off none of those miles. They're on the top of her car. So if you lost anything, it's kind of a fun blessing. It's not a curse. I think seriously, the important thing is that I can sense that people need help. I think they sense that about me, that I'm open to them. I'm an open heart. I'm caring and I'm real. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to do what God wants me to do. And thank you.